evening, everyone. Welcome to Fandom Access. How is everybody this evening?
Good.
Great. How are you?
I am good.
Good.
What are we going to talk about first?
How about Doctor Who?
That's our status quo.
Plan. I was
Okay.
trying to wait, and I cannot think today. All right.
Who it is?
Who wants to go first?
I will. This is the episode I've been waiting for. This is like, I texted you guys. This is just a good old fashioned fun Doctor adventure. And I like, this is the one where you get to see the Doctor like in full mystery solving, people saving Doctor mode and having a good time. I really enjoyed almost everything about this. This was the Bridgerton episode. Ooh, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. That's what you're echoing.
There for a second. This was like a Bridgerton. They openly said, "Oh, we're doing Bridgerton," right? Like both Ruby and the Doctor referred to Bridgerton. The sets, the costumes were great. The dialogue was great. Jonathan Groff as Rogue. I liked pretty much everything about it. What about you guys?
Yeah, I really did too. I kind of agree with you. I feel like it was back to finally classic Doctor Who. I just hate that it took to whatever it is, episode 6 to get there. But it did feel like that. Then there was a lot of fun things that were going on in this one. But I agree with what you said though too. It did really feel like Bridgerton too. They did a really good job going in. But I just thought the whole idea was cool, and it was funny, like the fact that they're like, cosplaying and trying on people. So, but it was interesting. I really liked Groff's character too. I was kind of disappointed in the end that he left, but who knows, maybe we'll see him again. But I think they were really good together too. So, and the other thing is that I think was neat is I liked how she had, it made me think of the Matrix. Well, like how she got downloaded battle mode or whatever, and all different things into her earrings, because it kind of makes sense that he would have something like that, especially because usually it's translating and everything else. So that was kind of a fun little tech thing, I thought too. A cool gadget.
Yeah. To me, it's a little too close to her having her own sonic screwdriver. We'll have to see how that goes in the next couple episodes.
If she keeps using it, I don't think it'll be fun. But
I felt like it was a one-time thing.
Yeah, I think it was too. I think it was just something cool to do. Yeah, I was surprised too, because I did not, and I should have. It took me like till close till to pick up on the fact that that she wasn't. I mean, I didn't think they were going to kill her, but I knew that supposedly.
Oh, I thought it was pretty obvious.
Companion coming soon, so I wasn't sure what they were doing. I figured she'd somehow be back, but I don't know.
Who's she? When you say she,
Ruby. Sorry, Ruby.
Oh, okay, Ruby.
Yeah. But I like the way that they did it. I thought it was done really well, and the birds looked really awesome.
Yeah, they did look really. The monster effects are a real step up in this season, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have a picture of the guy with the blue guy with the feathers sticking out of his head.
There you go.
Put a picture of that guy in here. Where is he? Where's the feather head?
The one that killed the
he's kind of in the background in here. You can see on the right, the blue guy with the giant feathers sticking out. I tried to get a picture of all the shoulder because they were so cool looking, but I guess I didn't really get them. So sorry.
It's okay. And of course the one who played the main villain, I think the actress's name is Indira. I don't know, but she's from Torchwood.
Indira Varma.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in Torchwood. She's been in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so they reused a Torchwood actress as a different character, but that was still cool.
Yes, because Doctor Who has never reused an actress.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying.
Or actor.
But I don't know. I just feel like this was a fun one.
Yes.
It's finally back to that, and I think that that the flirting in that between the two of them was really cute. And the part that I really liked was when he first had the doctor on the ship and he kept turning the music back on and he's like dancing around and completely ignoring everything he said. I thought that was really funny. I liked that.
Yeah, thought I had a picture of the inside of his ship, but I guess there's like 50 pictures available for this episode. I can't just I can't download them all. I did try to download a picture of him inside his ship, but that was a really fun kind of a sequence.
And then he got all flustered too with his psychic papers that told him he was hot. That was funny.
Like it says hot.
Yeah. Wait, you're hot. I'm hot. It's like
I'm hot. You're hot. Wait, who's hot?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. It was cute.
You enjoyed it also, AJ, right?
Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. I like these fun, these quirky episodes. It's like, but I like the overarching stories with all the doctors, but I always kind of like the standalone episodes, because they just kind of get goofy and kind of, aren't as they don't have as much consequence, I guess,
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the beginning of the episode, there Susan Twist shows up in this episode as a portrait
painting, yeah,
on the wall, and so you were just talking about the great scene on the ship when the doctor's pleading his case, trying to tell him he's not a shapeshifter, that he's a time lord, and he lives past lives and everything. And there's an extra doctor apparently.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion about that. It has to do with before. And
did you guys catch it in the episode? I did.
Yeah,
I caught it in the episode, but I didn't know who the hell it was. I actually had to go online because I never saw the animated episode.
Me too. I was like, who's that guy? That guy's not one of the and I paused it and checked them all out, and I had to also look up who the guy is, and it appears they've made that doctor was made not canon and now he's canon.
Well, the funny thing I read about it is Davies apparently didn't like the animated show.
I read that too. Yeah,
he didn't actually like that doctor, so I think it's kind of interesting.
The fact that they've never shown him in there, though, makes me wonder if it was more just sort of like a little Easter egg or something. I mean, I know people are making a big deal out of it, but
of course, people are going to make a big deal out of it.
Two other characters too in the show, so I can't think of his name, but the Great Intelligence and
yes,
else he played. But anyway, but yeah, that was cool. I
think so. It's an Easter egg, but I think it also plays to this bit about the toy maker saying that he has completely scrambled the doctor's past timeline.
Yes.
And it's alluding to that, and it's also kind of a way of dealing with this timeless child nonsense.
Forget that at the beginning of this, after Jodie Whittaker's run, and we get David Tennant back, and when him and Donna go to the end of the universe, the Doctor made a big mistake. He invoked superstition at the end of the world.
Yeah.
Which he mentions in the giggle, and the toy maker even makes a little mention of it. So I think a lot of this we actually blame on the Doctor himself. I think that's why it's been a little more supernatural and quirkier than usual, because something's that, we're going to find out in the finale. I think it's all going to come together.
Yeah, they're definitely messing around with things with the mythology, but also in trying. I guess he's trying to do it in a way that doesn't overwrite what Chibnall said either at the same time, which I don't know whether I agree with or not, whether he should have done. But that's neither here nor there. What the heck is that?
That's a car going by my house. Sorry.
That is a loud car.
It felt like it was in your living room.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry. Gotta have air in the window. Sorry.
But I do hope that some of the things that they're doing, that they come together. I was just going to ask, did you guys see the preview? I guess you did. If it's all on Disney, we're all watching it the same way.
No, I'm not. Yeah, see, I don't watch the previews. I don't want, because it's like I've stayed away from, unless I'm specifically looking for something, especially with concern with the Doctor. Every time I turn around, there's a friggin' headline about the Doctor, and I feel like most of these headlines are spoilers.
Although a lot of them aren't true, but yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So I just I see anything Doctor related, and I stay away from it.
Headlines saying that this means this means this. River's coming back, and like and they're not, they're just something people totally made up, not necessarily something true. But yeah, I just was curious. Okay, I won't mention it then. It's just you had said something else I was going to ask about. But if you don't want to know, then I will not talk about it.
It's funny. I've gotten to a point where, back in the days of Lost, we all wanted to see the trailer. We all wanted to see the sneak peeks and everything, And I've gotten to a point now where it's like, because there's so much out there and so many spoilers, and they give away so much information because everybody's so worried. Everybody's looking for their clicks, and everybody wants everybody to watch their shows and everything. And it's like, because there's so many options, people are afraid people aren't going to watch, that they give away so much information in the first place. You already know what's going to happen before it happens. So I've over the years tended to actually stay away from too much information.
I watch the official trailer, but otherwise I don't go looking for it. But I do watch the clip.
I don't know.
And I do watch what they show on, now that I started watching that Unleashed. They sometimes show a little like exclusive scene. Not that it showed anything, but it showed somebody who was in it. But I want to go back and watch the earlier ones. I had mentioned that I think last week when we were talking, the behind the scenes series. It's on BBC iPlayer.
Oh, speaking of the iPlayer, there is one thing I did see. There is a new Tales from the TARDIS coming, and it's going to be in between this next episode on Friday and the finale.
When's it being released? Do you know?
I don't know exactly, but I do know that it's being released after the next episode because apparently for the first time it's going to actually connect to the season.
Yeah, that's on iPlayer too, right? Okay. Yeah. All right. I wish they should put it on Disney too, but they probably won't.
They won't.
Yeah.
All right. Well, back to the episode.
Yes.
How did you guys like Shooty and Jonathan Groff together? I thought their chemistry just like was popping immediately from their first shot together here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Of course, Jonathan Groff is such a talented performer, but I thought they were great together. I loved the Doctor and their flirty, first Rogue thinks he's a shoulder, then they're going to work together, and they do this distraction, which ends up with almost like a proposal, and it's really to distract
scandal,
to create scandal and distract everyone, but it's also really in the end when Rogue has to sacrifice himself for Ruby and he's being sent to another dimension and he says, "Find me." And I don't really think that is coming back anytime soon. I don't think we're going on a find the Doctor's,
don't know. I could see it coming back, but he made a point of
down the road,
he had no way of knowing how to find
see it coming back in next season or the season.
Yeah, I think it'll come back in 2 episodes, but later on down the road it could. But yeah, I think he would have made a good companion, even coming with them for a while. I wouldn't have minded it. I liked him.
Yeah.
Well,
you know what?
Not that we necessarily need that. I'm just saying, I could have seen it.
Well, he'd be a really good Jack Harkness type of.
I was just gonna say, I got a very strong Jack Harkness vibe from him, which I kind of didn't like, but I do know that the last time Barrowman was around, that there were some issues with him, so I don't think he'll ever be coming back to Doctor Who, unfortunately.
I don't think Barrowman will be back, but Captain Jack Harkness was always attracted to the Doctor. Mm-hmm. He's in love with the Doctor, maybe. That didn't go anywhere because the Doctor wasn't. But
let me ask you something, Karen. I wanted to ask you specifically because I was thinking about you when I was watching this. You said though before, I know you tend to get annoyed whenever they do sort of romance things. Did this not annoy you? Is it maybe because it was more like a one-off? I'm just curious because I've been thinking, I wonder if Karen's going to be kind of pissed, because I know I'm always like, I ship this, person or whatever, and you're usually not.
I don't like the Doctor having a romantic connection with the companion. I don't mind the Doctor having like a wife in River or an interest in Rogue or
that makes sense.
Like that. I don't like the Doctor and the
I
companion
agree with that.
romantically linked. I don't think it works. And it's just not what I want to see. I like these two together. They really sparked. I mean, it is well past time for the Doctor to have a male interest. The Doctor, to me, is post gender and post orientation, right? The Doctor is like beyond. The Doctor can apparently regenerate into any type of, as long as they're a humanoid, right? He doesn't regenerate into like a Wookiee or whatever. But
a Wookiee is humanoid.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. He doesn't like, regenerate into a Jadoon or anything. It's always like, the Time Lords are humanoid. But the Doctor is like so beyond like these things that humans are, right? The Doctor he's post-gender, he's post-orientation, he's post-weapons, he's post-she, they, whatever the Doctor. And so I don't really mind whoever the Doctor. The Doctor has had relationships with we've seen, like, it's a running joke that so many times they go into the past and, the Doctor goes to
he married, what's a Queen Elizabeth. No,
Queen Elizabeth. Queen
No,
Elizabeth.
it wasn't. It was Victoria, wasn't it?
I couldn't remember. One of the queens. Victoria.
I thought it was Victoria.
It might have been.
Yeah,
he supposedly married her back then.
And they other multiple planets where he supposedly has married people or had there's somebody who's mad at him because he ghosted them or whatever. Like, the Doctor has been quite the cut quite a swath of X's through the universe, right?
Yeah.
So I like these two had great chemistry and a great spark, and I mean even if it didn't go anywhere and just became like a Captain Jack, like showing up and flirting every 2 seasons, that would be great. I mean, Jonathan Groff obviously has way too busy. He's on Broadway right now, right? He obviously has way too busy a career. I think I heard him on the radio. He's in a Tony nominated show right now on Broadway. And so, has
so he's not somebody that's going to suddenly be in a bunch of Doctor Who, but maybe he'll show up at some point again.
Yeah, but could show up, right?
Yeah.
So, I thought it was great. This might be my favorite episode of the season because I've been, I keep complaining about I want to get to know my Doctor. If this had aired first, I might have had a different, not whined so much the last couple weeks.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I that was the first thing I thought in the middle, like partway through this episode. I just kept thinking, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, it's like a classic, fun episode.
It doesn't help with the shorter season either.
No, and it doesn't help that the Doctor's been half absent for 2 of them.
Yeah.
But we know why, but yeah.
Yeah. Great. All right, well, 3 to go. There's 8? Is there 8?
No, there's 2 to go.
10. There's 2 left.
There's 2 left. Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
First half of the finale.
Yeah. Okay. But if you want to know about them recreating Bridgerton and all, I'm just looking at the picture. It's making me think about it, the costumes and everything and how they did it. It's, go watch The Doctor Unleashed.
Oh, I really was impressed with the costume.
Yeah, they're really good.
This episode, right?
Yeah, the choreographer, or at least one of the choreographers, worked on Bridgerton because it was saying about the dancing too.
I'll tell you what,
in it, they did this all-night shoots.
You could really feel the Disney budget in this episode.
Yeah, once again, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I'm really surprised though they outright. I don't know why. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter, but I was kind of surprised they outright named Bridgerton and actually said it. Like, oh yeah, we're cosplaying Bridgerton and basically, and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can really feel the Disney budget, although they're having most of their adventures on Earth. They have not, they did go to a couple planets and had some bad experiences, right? Like, they go to another planet and boom, the Doctor steps on a landmine. Yeah. And then they went to another planet and maybe they're playing it safe with the Bridgerton romp. But yeah, they really, I mean, the makeup and the effect, when I think of what the bird costume looks like on Resident Alien and what the bird costume looks like on this show, you can see the Disney budget, right?
Yeah, although to be fair, Resident Alien costume I think was supposed to be sort of silly for that character, but
well, they also don't have anywhere.
No,
It's obvious
they
that people are
No.
approaching this budget.
no.
And on top of the snail roach, whatever those things were last week, which I thought were really well done. Also, the giant slugs,
Slug thingies,
slugs with arms.
What do they call? I think they call them man eaters.
I called them slugoids.
No, I know, but I think they officially called them man eaters.
Man eaters.
Like
Yeah, you could really see in this, but I mean, even just like the flower budget for this episode.
Yeah, they probably spent thousands of dollars on this.
Right, it's more than the entire creature budget from last season.
Probably.
Yeah.
As long as they still have some creatures that are like cheesy for Doctor Who, then it's okay. It's nice to see some of the stuff be, really done really well.
Yeah. Like if a Cyberman came, they have to look like they used to, right? Or
exactly. Although those bird makeups though look like they must have been really uncomfortable though.
I tell you one thing though.
A bit of their skin.
Going back and watching the first Doctor, the Daleks haven't changed that much over the years.
No.
The Daleks have pretty much stayed the same. Couple changes here and there, but they're pretty much exactly how they were in 1963.
Changed quite a bit, even.
Well, and the Zygons who didn't appear for I don't know, decades, right? And then the Zygons came back and they were basically the same rubber suits.
Yeah.
If the Zygons come back, they have to look cheesy, right? But these guys, I don't know how they do. I mean, I think it's probably like a mask. There might be some computer effect added to this later.
No,
right?
their makeup. I know that from.
Yeah, I was gonna say that looks like a really big makeup job.
It's fully practical.
Yeah, I forget how many hours she said. Indira was talking about how many hours. It was 3 hours or something like that. Again, go watch the special.
She's got it all down her chest.
That's why I said it looks very uncomfortable.
Right, the men get a high collar. She's got a chest piece there.
But it looks awesome, even though it probably feels like crap. It looks awesome.
Yeah. So, all right, well, good one all around. We all enjoyed it.
Yep.
All right.
I want to talk about the damn preview, but we'll wait. I won't say anything. I'll be a good girl.
All right.
Okay. Well, which do we want to do next? And again, if anybody has any comments, feel free to tell us. Like Karen said, you can't do it in Twitter, which I did not realize until you said that last week. But if you go on the Facebook stream or the YouTube stream and leave a comment or Twitch under the stream, we can see your comment and we will respond to it. Although I don't have this connected to a Sci-Fi Vision Twitch because I don't use Twitch, but I have an account somewhere. I'll have to dig it up, and I probably should link it to that. But of course, NDB Media has one it's linked to for now. But yeah, on our Facebook and YouTube, you can leave comments.
So we have Acolyte, Lazarus, Dark Matter. Where are we going?
Oh, I forgot we had Dark Matter.
Let's talk about Dark Matter.
Which episode is this? Because I completely forgot. Completely.
Episode 6, right?
6?
Actually, if you look in our control panel at the photos, it's episode 6. They all say 106.
Don't think I can see that on my iPad. Not sure.
In the control panel, but they're all episode 6. So this is an episode. I mean, it's another episode of Jason.
Is this the Ryan episode, or was it the one before it?
This is the Ryan episode.
Okay, well then I know which one it is because I had needed to look it up and stuff for when I posted the interview with Jimmy Simpson about that, because this is the episode that he takes the one version of him and leaves him in a different Chicago.
This is the episode where Daniela starts catching on after the peanut allergy.
Yeah. I mean, so in this episode, there's more of Jason and Amanda, trying to trying to find, they're still trying to open the right door, and they're getting closer and closer. Meanwhile, fake Jason number 2, this is one where Jason is you should start painting again. You should start painting. Quit your job and start painting, right? And even Danielle is a little, get off my back, dude. I will decide if I want to paint, right? I'm not paying attention to the photographs here. I'm sorry. Is this her? No. Do you guys see how dark all these photos are? My favorite part of the was it this week's episode where Jason and Daniela are sort of arguing. I can't find any pictures of them. Apple only, there she is. Like they're arguing, and he says, "I just want you to be happy," and she says, "No, you want you to be happy." And I was like, "Yes, that's what this whole show is about, right?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because we keep saying each week he wants both lives, and he can't have it.
Yeah.
I'm starting to realize that maybe it was just the grass is always greener. That maybe he should have stuck with what he had.
Yeah, or like he wasn't maybe paying close enough attention when he was like stalking Jason Prime, because he thought he wanted this life, but now like he didn't find, like, they don't have any money, and he basically can't live without being rich, right?
Clearly.
And like Daniela doesn't paint; she works in the gallery, which is not a good enough. Like everything, like he wants to change. He wanted this life so bad, and now he wants to change every single thing about it, almost, right?
Yeah.
And I was so happy that she was catching on, and I wanted to beat Ryan senseless. Like, why are you confronting him, dude?
Like this is not going to go well.
Like, go to Daniela first. Obviously, something is going on, but no, Ryan's got to be a petty little, hey, dude, you're going to like screw up my life.
Yeah. Ryan,
now he's going to screw it up even worse.
Granted, he couldn't possibly have imagined what the real truth was, right?
That's a good point.
I mean, there's no way he could possibly like have learned that's what, like, he just thought the guy somehow stole his formula for this kind of run-of-the-mill drug that he's selling to Big Pharma that doesn't even really have a great application, right? And then guess what he finds out? So did you guys see it come? I mean, you could see it coming that Jason takes Ryan and he's like, "How'd you pick this world?" "Oh, I just thought my friend would like to see it." And then he's like behind him and he's walking backwards, and you just want to be like, "No, Ryan, no, he's gonna ditch you there," right?
Yeah. It was obvious the minute he said, "Hey, I got to show you something." I was like, "Oh, Ryan's done."
At least he tried to drop him off in a world he thought he'd like, though. I guess there's that.
I disagree.
That's a big consolation. Well, he said he did.
I disagree entirely.
Lying. But
I disagree 100% to think that that's some sort of compassionate act.
No, it's not. I'm just saying at least he did. He could have put him in a a storm or something.
Why doesn't he just kill him? He should just kill. He's gonna die in that world. He should just kill him.
Why do you say he's gonna die in that world, though?
We don't know. Well, we don't know anything about it, but every single world Jason and Amanda have gone to has pretty much been horrible. Every single world that other Leighton went to has been horrible, right? Like, all we saw was a glow in the distance. Like, it could be totally populated by he didn't say. What Jason said was, "I just thought of a world my friend would like to see."
Yeah.
Like, he only thought of what it would look like, not what, I mean.
True. I'm just saying I don't necessarily think that every world's bad, I guess. I mean, like, I know that that's what we've seen, but we're seeing specific, handpicked.
Well, no, the last couple worlds Jason and Amanda have been to have actually been pretty good.
Yeah, that's why I just kind of assumed that it's not necessarily a bad world. And again, you're right. I'm not saying that was an okay thing and that makes it okay. I'm just saying he could have taken him to the snow world, or where the werewolf is. He could have, and he did.
Not for nothing. Out of the box. Then he wouldn't have stepped out of the box, right? Like, he lured him.
Pushed him out of the box.
He lured
him into a trap, Jamie.
He did. And I'm saying you're right. It's not right what he did. I'm just saying it could have been a lot worse, I guess, is my.
I think Jason is a terrible person.
Yes, he definitely is.
Somehow, he might as well he's somehow telling himself, like, "Oh, at least I didn't kill him." But you have basically killed him, because he can't have any kind of a life. He might be physically living, no job, no identity, no place to live, no way to do anything. I mean, it's,
unless you go murder your doppelganger, then maybe you'll find
if you have one.
If you have one, that's a good point. They could be dead there. We don't know. Yeah.
He could possibly have never been born there, right? Although I thought you could only go into a world where you have exist. I don't know. Anyway, it's terrible. I mean, to give him even one iota of credit, like at least he didn't do worse. Like, no, can't start thinking that way about Jason.
No, Jason 2 is awful.
No, he is awful. I wasn't meaning it like it made it okay. I just was saying it could have been a lot worse.
I don't think it could have been worse. I think it's a terrible, terrible thing to do. It could potentially be a fate worse than death or end in death anyway. I don't think necessarily that it could be worse to rip someone out of their entire life and abandon them in a different universe. I don't know really how that could be worse.
I will say this though. I feel like what it could be like why he didn't just flat out kill him, because I feel like there's a chance there is a chance he can get back.
He has no ampules.
Yeah, no, but there's a chance that Jason Prime maybe finds out what happens and goes and finds him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying not saying that's what's gonna happen or what I think is gonna happen. I'm just saying it leaves that kind of thought process open.
Yeah. And while you're still on the drug, you can get back in the box if you have a key, which I then have to presume that Ryan doesn't. And that Jason. Right, you need a key. If you have a key, don't you need a key?
No, that was just when they locked them out because they shut the door. I think you're thinking of when he locked that girl. Is that what you're thinking of at the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it was just they shut the door and they couldn't get it open to get in there.
Oh, okay.
Because it made the travel or whatever. But yeah, technically, I didn't even think of that. You're right. Technically, he could have probably turned back around and went back through because they have so long. Not that it would make any difference because he doesn't know anything about it, but technically,
he doesn't know the rules. But
it's now cemented up.
But only in the correct world, right? And
we still don't know what that means or if that means anything. Or
I think it's boarded up, not cemented up, right? But
no, they made a wood walls around it and then poured the cement.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think they did cement it through.
I still don't I don't have a picture of that. I still don't understand how that works because the box is not like.
It seems like the box appears wherever they go. Yeah, don't know.
But that's the location. That's the location of the box.
The location is being blocked by this.
I look at it this way. Jason and Amanda, they find that world and they see a brick wall when they open the door. They must go, okay, I'm not sure what's going on, but this is definitely the right world. Go to another world with a jackhammer and come back to that world.
That's a good idea.
AJ.
AJ's got it all figured out.
You're so smart, AJ.
Now, funny piece of information. At the end, when we got done watching that episode, Artie goes, "I have no idea what's going on. That is not in the book."
Well, there you go. Maybe
he doesn't block up the box in the book.
Artie said he's enjoying the Jason 2 stuff because they don't in the book they really don't focus on Jason 2 that much. So a lot of the stuff we're seeing of Jason 2 is new for the show.
Oh, cool.
Which he said is kind of cool because you really don't get to know Jason 2 in the book.
Well, that makes sense because the TV show is
cool.
A little different, and it makes sense to to show the different versions and everything. So
yeah.
So
this is also the episode in which Jason takes a little sojourn and meets another blonde Daniela, and he asks her out, right?
Which I didn't understand.
I didn't either. Do you have time for this? Actually,
yeah, I know. Why are you flirting with her?
I think in the episode, Amanda was like, "Do we have time for this?" Right? We only have 10 ampules left, and you're stalking your not wife. And then she says no, and then he still goes later that night and sits outside her window and watches her.
Well, no, they're in a different. No, it's not her window; it's another world.
He stalks her, right? He stalks her across multiple worlds, right?
Yeah. He stalks a Daniela that is with him. And but I think part of that though. At first, I was like, "Why is he asking her out? What is the point of this?" But later, when he says to Amanda, he's like, "I think I'm starting to understand Jason too. I understand why he did it." because as he's trying to get back to his world, he's seeing all these other worlds, and he just wants to be with Daniela so bad that he's now stalking her, you know.
Yeah,
because he can't have his Daniela, so he's kind of taking what he can get at the moment. So it's like,
Yeah, and he's
he's
kind of thinking like
kinda
I could
losing his
take over
way.
this other life and take that
Basically.
from him and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
He's not saying he would do it, but
he's saying he could
start
see
to
why he would
understand
want
it.
to do it.
Which brings me to another
I
thing that
disagree.
kind of pissed me off.
Yeah.
I did not like the scene where they're in the hotel room and they're laying close to each other, and you can see the sexual tension rising. And I'm
That
like,
irritates
dude,
me too.
I'm sitting there going, I'm like, dude, I'm like, I swear to God, if he kisses her, I'm gonna kill him, because he couldn't even make out with Daniela 2.
Yeah.
Daniela 2 before she was murdered. All right,
Yeah.
because she's like, you're still, you're obviously in love with your wife still, and he's like, yeah, he's like, you know, she's like, I get it, okay, you know, and meanwhile he's like telling Amanda, yeah, I don't want you to leave this bed, but you need to go in the other bed. Like, how long has it been?
Yeah, I don't get that. I almost feel like that seems like one of these scenes where like one of the writers who wasn't the book writer decided that they wanted it in and talked them to it, you know.
But no, in the other, Jason 2 and Amanda were together in the other. Right. Like there are
in the other universe.
Let me finish. There's at least one and maybe more universes where they are together. There is a way that they could be attracted, that he could be attracted to her.
That's true.
She's got qualities and appearance and other things that attracted him to her in at least one universe. I mean, I could see why he, you know, I mean, what's hard to see is how Amanda could ever fell for other jerk Jason. But yeah, I was wondering if they were going to get together and they're going to throw that in there, that, you know, and what that would mean if it happened. So I was glad that he said, like, no, get out of the bed. But why were they ever in the same bed in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Right.
There are two beds.
I get they're attracted to each other, but I kind of feel like the whole point of it is him so in love with his wife
exactly.
to get her back. Yeah. Like, why even have that
departure
at all? That's why I said to me it doesn't fit. Like, I get it. I just don't. It seems to me like it was a scene that was added that was definitely, to me. I mean, I don't know. It could have been, but it doesn't seem like it was something that was in the original story. It just seemed a little disjointed.
So
now what I did like and did make sense to me is Jason 2 goes to see Prime Amanda because she's a shrink.
Oh yeah, that was weird. Yeah, that was weird. And he's talking about how like I got everything I wanted and it's not what I thought it would be. And
duh.
Like, yeah, duh, because like you like, did you stalk every single world that they live in and choose this one to steal? Because like, are there other worlds where they're richer and you could have stolen that life instead, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, is there a world where they figured out how to be together and take them and be successful at the same time?
Yeah,
I
mean, he chose this knowing that, you know, Jason was a professor and whatever, and he's very unsatisfied. I mean, he really looks less and less sympathetic with each episode. Is this the episode where he takes the painting to the gallery reception and hangs it up and then parades her in there? Yep. Oh my god. Yep. Oh, that was
that was hard to watch. How could you think that this was a good idea? Like, you really don't know her at all, do you?
And you knew it was coming because, like, Shrink Amanda says to him, like, he's like, oh, I'm going to make a big romantic gesture. And Amanda says, do you think she finds the same things romantic that you do? Like, it's such a warning that this is going to go bad. And it goes bad. Yeah. It was hard to watch, Jamie. Like, I felt her humiliation, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he even laid out a dress.
So personal.
Oh, and the dress. Yeah. He picked the dress. Yeah, he's trying to make her into like what he wants and Amanda, Daniela to be, right?
Yeah.
Well, he's trying to make her into the other Daniela, basically.
Yeah. Like a big famous artist and whatever. And like, how could he not see that? Of course, her bosses had no choice but to hang it up when you suggest it, right? And of course, like an artist, you don't. like, of course, an artist gets to say when their work is finished and gets hung. Like he just has no.
He has no
mean,
concept of it. He just doesn't get it, and it's like
he's
it's
completely
because,
oblivious.
but it's also because he's not. I don't want to say he's not trying, but it kind of is like he's not trying. Like he doesn't care enough, actually care about her enough.
He doesn't love her. She's just a trophy.
He loves the idea of her. I think is more the right way to look at it.
I think she's a trophy that he wants, right? Like he thought he doesn't love her or know her. And so I don't know if it's before or after that she talks to Blair and she's like, he's acting so weird. And Blair's like, oh, is he cheating on you? You know, and it's Blair who counsels. I'm getting ahead of myself because I left out the part where we left out where Jason gives Charlie the ice cream, right? And almost kills him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of important.
And so then Blair counsels Daniela to follow Jason, and there were no pictures available on the press site. She follows him to the storage unit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she gets the vial, and that's how Ryan gets involved.
Yeah. Yeah, because she brings it to him.
Daniela, I mean, she's pretty close to. I feel like she's close to figuring it out, except just like Ryan, there's no way she can have any concept of what really is going on, right?
Yeah.
Right, but he seems wrong. I mean, all she knows is he seems wrong. Although, I don't know how you would necessarily, from stalking her, know that your kid was allergic to peanuts, though, in his defense. Like, that's not something you're necessarily going to see but that was not good. That definitely did not endear him to her at any rate.
I mean, this is a case of not doing enough research, or maybe you can never do enough research.
That's a good point. Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's
I like that
red flag. Like, that's not something you forget. He could be an asshole, but you don't forget like your kid having an allergy.
Well, he didn't say he forgot. He said he didn't notice that it had nuts in it.
Did he? Okay, well, he made an excuse then. But yeah, either way.
Yeah.
But he didn't even go ahead.
I was gonna say the scene with Blair I liked a lot because Daniela was complaining he dresses nicer, he wants to have sex all the time. She's like, wait, so you're telling me that your hot, considerate husband is even hotter and more considerate than before, and this is a problem?
Yeah.
It's a problem when it's out of nowhere.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think Jason's very sloppy, like, because he saw the birth certificate from the twin and then like didn't really have enough like wherewithal to remember that on Charlie's birthday, obviously they're going to be like mourning the other twin, right? It like never occurs to him. You know why? Because that's not what
I don't think he cares. He doesn't care.
He doesn't, well, because he never had that child. He never loved that child. He doesn't feel the loss, right? He doesn't, it's not like, I mean, he doesn't even really love Charlie, right? He's just kind of wants to be like the cool dad that he's got an idea of what a cool dad is, but he doesn't even like really, is this the picture of the kid? Yeah. Like he didn't really like, he didn't remember it was his birthday. He never like, he didn't put two and two together. Like, oh, there's only one twin here today. It's sort of a bittersweet day. I should he's not, because he doesn't even really, you're right. He doesn't care. He doesn't mourn that child. He doesn't. Yeah. He's really very, I feel like Danielle is so close to figure it out, but she can never, obviously she'll never guess what it is.
You know what's funny? Had he not gotten the new car for Charlie, she wouldn't have had a car to follow him in.
Oh yeah, they only had one car before that, right? Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. And she she thought the ampule might be like she thinks he might just be on street drugs or something, which is crazy because like street drugs don't make you act the way he's acting, right? Like,
well, yeah, but she doesn't know any better, so I mean,
no, she doesn't know. She's never been around a person on drugs. Yeah. I mean, I'd like to know what else she should be checking out. What else is in that storage unit? So,
honestly, I would have kept following him. I wouldn't have stayed at the storage unit. Then I was kind of yelling at the TV, saying, "Keep following him."
I know because he went to the box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then she might have found it, seen it.
He went to the
And
box.
she could have always went back to the storage unit.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
She knew where it was at that point.
she could wait till he goes to work or whatever the next day, and then
He quit.
Oh yeah. Well, he goes out and takes meetings for like 5 hours at a time because he's actually
True.
going with Leighton.
True.
Although he basically sold almost all of his ampules, he sold to Leighton to go gallivanting across the multiverse, right?
Yep.
Well, for nothing, if he needed more, he could probably go into a universe and find Orion that had made them.
He can't go into anywhere because he boxed up. He cemented up the box.
That's a good point. But if he didn't, he could go to another universe and find another Orion who made them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting commitment that he's made. So he's like, it's like he's complaining to psychiatrist Amanda that his life is not what he thought it would be, and maybe he doesn't want it. But then by the end of the episode, he's all in on staying, right? He goes,
but he's got the money now too. He's got he's got $50 million.
I know he could take it in, like a lot of it in his pockets and leave and go to another, right? He's got very good control.
No, you can't.
Why?
They made a comment about the money. Remember?
Money won't go through?
Numbers. Because the money will go. The money will carry over.
Because serial numbers. Yeah. Your all money has a serial number on it. It won't match. It'll either be a duplicate or out of sync, or it won't. Yeah.
Because Leighton made a comment about robbing a bank.
Although I have to question how. I mean, I get it. That makes sense. But like, what kind of place that you spent that money would that even ever be tracked to? Like, unless you went and bought. But I guess he's trying to be so rich, he probably would make huge purchases.
Yeah, it would be big. It'd be because of big purchases. If it's, like with
like normal everyday go to the store stuff, nobody would check it or know. Or
with Amanda and Jason Prime going out for dinner, that's not going to raise any red flags.
No, but you spend $1 million on a house or something.
Yeah. You go buy a sports car outright, that raises flags.
Yeah, I mean, you could carry.
You'd have to wash the money.
Like if you passed the 20 in 7-Eleven, okay, but he'd have to carry that in huge bills in a huge duffel bag, and he'd have to operate in cash. You're right; it would never work.
Yeah.
But at any rate, he's committed. He shut the box. He's committed to staying in this universe. So, I mean, obviously, it's not going to work for very long because, as AJ pointed out, Jason won, and Amanda can just go get a jackhammer from another universe, or get some dynamite or whatever.
I wonder though if they tried to come through when it was sealed like that. Though, could they be stuck in the cement or something? And like, I'm thinking of like Fringe or whatever. Whenever they've
not for nothing.
Looped in between a universe or something, not in between a universe, but when they got stuck in the thing, walls and stuff.
We might find out that just because he cemented it shut doesn't mean it's actually going to stay shut. Like when they show up, it could just
open. Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what the rules are.
Yeah, it could just open. Yeah. Because like the box is the box, but what's inside so much of your mind, right? Like, does Jason only have to could they almost will it not to be there, right? Like, yeah, we don't know what the rules are. They could easily figure out a way.
All right, you know what though? Actually,
they could figure out how to move the box, even.
Maybe. To be fair though, actually, I guess the cement would stop them because, I mean, all these other worlds they've been to, like some of the worlds, there's not even a building there; they're in a forest.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that cement is in that world in front of the door. So when you open the door, that's what's going to be there.
So it's like not exactly the door. It's not the doorway. No. It's what's right past.
Yeah, it's outside
That's
the door.
a good way to look at it.
Well, they're going to figure it out because it's only episode 6.
Yep. And there's 3 left.
Yeah.
Because it's only 9.
Yeah.
I wonder why they chose to do 9. 9 is such an odd number.
Yeah, I know.
To do for the episode.
It's an Apple thing. Apple's done that with a couple shows, and you know what? I'm not complaining about Apple, so.
No, but it's just weird that they chose 9 instead of 8 or 10.
Well, I mean, maybe 9 is the amount that you remember, like a show like the OA, that they're like, everything's not an hour. Some are 30 minutes, some are 80 because it's as long as it needs to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is how long it took to tell the story.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is.
which is a good
And-
thing if it works. I
Yes,
mean,
that is actually absolutely a good thing because you don't need a filler episode just to appease the network.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we all three like it. I'm looking forward to next week, right? We always are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I like it. I mean, I still can't really comment on some of the stuff you're commenting on because, I know what happens, but.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot you saw the whole thing already.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
right. Well, let's keep moving along.
Lazarus or interview?
Or
do interview
or Acolyte.
Or Acolyte. Interview or Acolyte because I didn't watch Lazarus.
All right, let's talk about the Acolyte, the new show on Disney Plus from Star Wars, the Acolyte. 2 episodes dropped to begin. I liked the show. I think it's good. Actually, I'd love to throw it to Jamie, who has not watched any of the other Star Wars stuff. Did you find it hard to catch on?
I haven't watched the other series.
Yes, you've watched the movie.
I'm just saying that so people know I have seen the movies.
You've seen all the movies.
I liked it. I thought it was good, but I'm just still, and I said this to you guys in my text, I'm just not really a Star Wars person. I have never been in love with Star Wars. Did I like it? Yes. If we weren't doing the podcast, would I continue to watch it? I don't know. I think I'm more like looking at like the special makeup effects and all that more than I do actually watching the show. But it was good and I did enjoy it. I think that the characters were developed good. I do think it was pretty obvious pretty quickly that it wasn't really her, that it was her sister. I mean, that was an obvious thing. Also, you guys are like, telling me Carrie-Anne Moss is in this. It's like, gee, thanks. She was in it all 5 minutes. And I'm like,
hey, I didn't know that.
No,
I didn't either.
Listen, of her.
I know. I'm just kidding.
I saw there's more there's scenes of trailers that I've seen that haven't happened with her yet. So I'm thinking maybe there's some flashbacks because I said the same thing. I was like, wait a minute, Carrie-Anne Moss just died 5 minutes into the episode. Like, what the hell is the point of that?
Yeah, I gotta say it's kind of surprising to put somebody like her in it for only 5 minutes. So yeah, it makes more sense if
I feel like there's got to be some flashbacks.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I liked it. I liked the characters and stuff, and I liked it. I don't really have anything bad to say about it. It's not. I don't know. It's not my kind of thing. I don't get all excited about it, but it was good.
Okay. Now I swear I had some more photos, but
you would think since I like sci-fi so much, though, I would, but I just can't. I'm just not a Star Wars or a Star Trek person. Never have been.
Well, I enjoyed it. So who's this? I had a better photo that I downloaded and now can't find, but I liked Amanda Stenberg in the lead role playing the twins. I liked I was sorry to see Carrie-Anne Moss go. I pretty much liked all the other characters.
I liked Saul. I think Saul was probably my favorite out of all of them. For whatever reason, I like him.
Yeah, that's Saul, right?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I liked the addition of like a young Jedi who,
I thought you found George annoying. That's all I remember from my text is George is so annoying.
No, George is from the other show.
George. That's not his. Wait, what's George? Who's George then?
George is from the Lazarus Effect.
The Lazarus Effect. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I was thinking him. That ain't even his name. His name's George. I don't know. George, whatever.
Yeah. No, I liked his name. What's his name?
Jord.
Jord.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought his name was George, but Jord.
I liked him, and I liked the young Jedi because we have a Padawan.
The girl, the alien.
Daphne Keene.
The Daphne Keene as the Padawan. I like her also, but I like having a young Jedi also. Like he's not a Padawan, but he's definitely all the other Jedi are like, listen, youngster, you need to just because you're a Jedi, you're not quite, Like I like having the younger. But Daphne Keene is great. As I forget the Padawan's name, but she's like, I like how she's always matter of fact, like, well, let's just do it this way. Wouldn't this be easier? Like she's very good up with the plan, right? There are some good characters. But yeah, I like Soul. I like he's sort of becoming the main. He's becoming a really main character. who's like he's like trying to solve the mystery, right? More so than almost anyone except for his boss.
The Jedi Masters are already pissing me off because when he's like, so we know where she's gonna go next, and she's like, the elders have to, the masters have to meet, and we have to make a decision. He goes, why don't I just go there? And she's like, that's not how the Jedi do things.
We have to decide it together. Yeah.
I mean, I guess something's to be said for it. There's been 1,000 years of peace, so.
There has been, but you know, like I feel like, is this show going to finally go there? Because like, what's the show that we just watched that just ended? Where they were, it's the spin-off from the cartoon show that we just watched last year.
Oh, Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yeah. Like it's been alluded in Ahsoka, it's been alluded to some other times that okay, there's 1,000 years of peace, but are the Jedi like fascists? Like the Jedis are like, this is the way it has to be, and you know we have rules, and like they won't allow anybody else to wield the Force unless you come to it their way, and so you know, May is the acolyte of this mystery. Like they call them Force users, right? They don't. I mean, usually a red saber means a Sith, right? AJ.
Yeah, but there hasn't been Siths in thousands of years, so they don't even know.
Yeah, there hasn't been a Sith, but like this show might be and we don't really know why Osha left the Jedi, right? Like she's a former Jedi, which have we ever even seen a former Jedi? Like even when Luke Skywalker was like, "I'm done."
They don't call him a former Jedi usually.
He was just like retired Jedi, right? He wasn't like leave the Jedi.
Once a Jedi, always a Jedi, right?
Right? Yeah, it's kind of like
I would think so.
It's kind of like a priest is always a priest, and if you quit being a priest, a Catholic priest, unless you get kicked out and like excommunicated,
I thought at first she was supposed to have been kicked out, and then she's like, no, it was her choice.
No, like if you're like an ex-priest and you're driving down the road and you see a like accident, you can jump out and give the last rites, or you can still baptize somebody, or you always have the power, right? And the Jedi are kind of like that because you don't give up the Force, but. I don't know. What do you think, AJ? You think they could be going in that direction and like showing the Jedi in like not the greatest light?
I think they've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been 1,000 years of peace, but whose peace? To what end? You know, I mean, there have been plenty of people through the years who, and you know, and I mean, I feel like the Jedi as a whole, they have their ways and they think their way is the only way and the right way and everything. But there's always been Jedi throughout the year, you know, throughout the organization and everything. It had been like, okay, listen, we believe in this, but, you know, I mean, look at Qui-Gon Jinn, you know, he was constantly bucking the system, you know, and then obviously Obi-Wan after that. And, you know, there's been plenty of Jedi through the year, but you know, and it's not that much different than, all right, we're going to make this really simplify it. It's no different than say a corporation, you know, any big corporation like Walmart, you know, you got the big wigs at the top. They don't care about the people actually working in the store. You know, it's kind of it's a simplified way to look at the Jedi.
Can I ask you guys a question? I just wanted to ask you something when I seen that picture. It made me wonder. You were saying that I don't want to say I haven't paid enough attention, but just over the years because it's been so long since I've seen it. I know you said like the red means it's a Sith. Do the other colors have any meaning? But I just because I see the picture it was yellow. I just wondered if there was a reason like the one was yellow or it mattered or anything when you showed the one picture. I never really thought about it.
This one is yellow and Luke Skywalker's was always blue, right? And they're
other than red's usually bad people. Red's usually that's really the only.
If you see red, it's a Sith. Any other color is a Jedi, and it has like a certain meaning. Like purple is a Sentinel.
Okay, so it does have a meaning. I just didn't go deep enough into it.
It basically means like what you're strongest in.
Okay.
For the other colors.
Okay.
Red just means bad red.
Well, that's why I said red is always the villain. It's like in Harry Potter, their wands meet. You know, Voldemort's is always red. You know, the red's the villain. It's the way it always is. It's easy to figure out that way.
Yeah. The other colors mean sort of like your rank or your specialty. Like think of it as like
whatever you're strongest in.
I don't remember them ever saying that in the show, but I don't know if I just didn't pay enough attention or I didn't go enough into the lore to know.
There's a lot of side stuff, but red always means red is always the Sith.
Yeah, okay. I just wondered if the other colors had a meaning. Sorry, I didn't mean to sidetrack.
You know what? Outside of the expanded universe, the only time in canon I can ever think of them actually having a conversation about it was an episode with a bunch of younglings in Clone Wars.
Oh, okay. Well, then that would be fine.
A lot of, yeah. I mean, but yeah, red is always bad. But yeah. So I mean, one of the main things in this show that it seems like Osha thought May was dead. May thought Osha was dead.
Yeah, that was huge.
Right? Yeah.
I did. You know, that was actually threw me when May was like Osha's dead, and I was like, oh shit! I never even considered the fact that she would think she was dead too. You know, like
I thought she knew her sister was alive because she was just bad, and she was sneak off somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of huge. And they both feel the other betrayed, although Soul agrees with Osha that May set the fire that killed their family, right?
Yeah.
And I guess, I mean, at first when I heard that, I thought it must have been an accident, but Osha seems to feel that May like deliberately burned down the house.
Yeah.
Whether she tried to kill the parents, I don't know, but she deliberately burned down the house and killed them, and like Osha can never forgive her. Meanwhile, May is feeling betrayed for some reason also. I wonder if they both were training. It hasn't been mentioned that May trained. It seems May has been illegally trained by this like mystery Sith person, right?
At any rate, they both were told the opposite one was dead.
Well, they weren't just told.
They weren't told. They were there.
well, I don't know. Saul said he saw her die. I don't know that she did.
Everyone on Team Jedi thinks like legitimate. They're not like lying.
No, they're not lying. But who knows if May's trainer lied on purpose,
snatched her away and let her, or if May faked her own death, even, or right, we don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, but May legitimately thought she was gone too. So
May thought Osha was gone.
Osha. I keep forgetting her name. I can remember May, but for some reason, but not Osha.
I mean, so Star Wars does seem to have a thing for twins who are Force users, right? Like you won't hear the word Skywalker in this because it's 100 years before, but Luke and Leia are twins. These two are twins. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack there, and how she came to like be under, in service to this guy. It looks like a guy. Well, they kept calling him, right? Or the master or whatever. You know, that guy who was like the chemist working in the pharmacy or whatever, who clearly is part of their gang or team or whatever they are, right?
Yeah.
Like he's also a follower of whoever this is. I mean, we're calling him a Sith, but because he has a red saber.
Oh, I mean, they called him the Master.
They call him the Master, yeah. So there's obviously at least two of them, and maybe more acolytes. We don't really know, or what their jam is. I thought it was good enough to watch more. I mean, Jamie, you're not a Star Wars fan. Was it good enough for you to watch more? You say if you weren't covering up.
Like I said, would I watch it if I didn't have to for the podcast? I don't know. I mean, I want to know what happened, but it's not. It hasn't like grabbed me. But it was good. Like I said, I have nothing bad to say about it. I enjoyed it. I think when I binge shows, I do better. Like if I'd had a bunch of them to watch, I probably would have gotten more into it. But having to wait a week, I'm less likely to care when it comes back on.
Jamie,
I'm so used to binging everything because I usually get screeners, and that's a bad thing. But
I know, and you're not like that much younger than like we met watching Lost week to week.
Yeah, you never used to be able to binge. I grew up on regular television. Yeah. I just I've gotten used to it, and the other problem is, and I've said this before, obviously I have to watch so much to do for the interviews and stuff that a lot of times I don't have tons of time, so it's like I end up not getting back into it. But yeah, I liked it. I want to know what happens, and I feel like if there was a third episode there, I would have watched it. But would I, if we weren't doing the podcast, if I have to wait a week, would I? I don't know.
It actually came out 2 hours ago. The next episode.
Oh, did it?
So you can watch it as a podcast.
I can watch it as a podcast. Yeah. No, but I'm just saying I liked it. I'm just not, like I said, I'm not a huge Star Wars person. Like I don't feel like, oh my God, it's Star Wars. Like I know a lot of people do, I guess. Like it's not like it's X-Files or Doctor Who or something like that for me. Not.
I want to hear something.
I will say
ironic.
though, one thing I thought that I just wanted to mention this because that kind of at first annoyed me, but I realized it's kind of cool in a way that they do it because it references back to makes it seem like the original movies. They have those really cheesy cuts.
Yeah,
that stuck out to me. I'm like, so annoying. I'm like, yeah, but it's like the movie, so okay, I get it.
It's like a 1930s and 40s style thing that Lucas purposely wanted. He wanted his movie to feel like those old timey serials from like the maybe 40s and 50s, right? Like Indiana Jones has them also. Those fades, those kind of funny, like a screen wipe kind of thing from left to right sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, Jamie, that you are always interested in like makeup effects and special effects. I thought the fight scenes were pretty good. I thought Amanda Stenberg and her double or doubles, because I'm sure she has one. Oh, here comes an ambulance.
So that is getting louder and louder. Whoop.
I just muted myself for a sec.
Muted herself.
I thought the fight scenes were pretty good. You know, I lately complain about some shows having fight scenes that are poorly edited, so you can't really see what's going on because they're not putting enough into their fight choreography, and they just like chop it up and make it terrible.
It was a good fight. Which, you know, that reminds me, I have a comment about the fight with what's her name, Endara. That was like so mean. Like you would think more bad people would do that though. Like that was so smart, but so mean that she like totally distracts her by trying to hurt somebody and then kills her. Like that was like rude.
I know. Good training.
That's how you get the hero. You try to kill somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked. For better for worse.
And Carrie Ann Moss is still good at fight scenes too.
Yeah, I mean, she was great. I hope AJ's correct and we'll see her again.
I hope so too.
I know I downloaded her picture, but sometimes I accidentally download a very large file size and I can't.
And it won't go up.
Yeah. But I'll do better next time.
You might have to eventually delete some of the old ones in there. I don't know.
I do. I deleted. I went and deleted them all. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I have to delete them all.
Fun fact about the actor that plays Saul. Apparently, he had to learn English for the role.
Really?
Wow.
Never acted in a role that wasn't Chinese.
That's
wow.
awesome.
That is awesome. It's surprising they casted him though, unless he maybe learned it for the audition.
Well,
I mean that's great. It's just surprising because I would think they would be worried that it would be a big undertaking to, you know, trust an actor to be able to do it for the whole show. But that's
listen.
awesome.
I've heard of movies where they had to teach the actor how to act.
Hello, Arnold Schwarzenegger spoke zero English.
I guess that's true.
Terminator, right?
That's true. Yeah, but he didn't have that many lines either.
Fair.
I mean, so I'm not familiar with this guy's work, but you know, I live in my American bubble. It could be that he's very famous internationally and
he might
be a choice for international audiences, right?
Yeah.
To watch this.
I mean, he's from Squid Game. So yeah, maybe I'm looking as I'm talking to you.
Oh, he's from Squid Game. So known we do a certain segment. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe they wanted him for either way, we didn't know it. So
and another funny thing that I've found, Karen, I've noticed all over the internet. So people have been complaining for years, you know, there's no new original characters in Star Wars. All they keep doing is telling the same story. They give us in between stuff. You know, we just keep rehashing the old same stuff. So now here it is. We have something set 100 years before the Phantom Menace. Okay, there's no way. Well, there's one character who's alive right now, but that's besides the point. But for the most part, we're not going to know any of these characters. We're not going to any of the story. It's, you know, it's something really original for Star Wars, and people are bitching that they don't know anybody.
Oh my God, really? People are the worst, right?
You can't please Star Wars fans, apparently.
I mean, you can't satisfy Star Wars fans. While you and I did not love Andor it was a critical darling, and we didn't love it, but it's original. It's a story that didn't maybe need to be told, but it's I think the part of Andor that you and I liked the most was where it was
the Empire.
The Empire, the Office version, right?
Yeah.
Like all that bureaucratic nonsense. Like we love that part. That's a thing we've never seen before. Like I think some of these shows, and look, Mandalorian, just give me my baby Yoda and I'm happy, right? But Star Wars fans are just, they're not quite as bad as Marvel fans, but in terms of like always complaining and tearing down what's put on. But I think this is good. And I think the quality of acting in this is really really great. Amandla Stenberg is amazing. Daphne Keane is amazing. They've got some of the really good up and coming young actors in this.
I keep waiting to see if I keep wondering. I mean, we're only 2 episodes in, but I wonder if we're going to get a Yoda cameo.
I don't know, but we're getting a Wookiee Jedi.
Yep.
Right? We had to trade some texts about that this week.
Yeah, I think I misunderstood something though, because I thought they were saying that was the one who trained her, and I think I misunderstood.
No.
Did I understand it? Okay, I thought that I did. I'm like, that didn't make sense, so I wasn't sure.
I think he's the fourth. He's the fourth one on the hit list, right?
Oh, okay, that makes sense then.
He's on the hit list, I believe, on May's hit list. Which she's got 2 down and 2 to go, and I guess the Wookiee is the next one.
But I guess the point is she has to kill them without a weapon. I'm not sure if poisoning.
No, she has to kill at least one of them without a weapon, I think.
Right. I'm not sure if her getting the guy to drink poison counted. I guess not. It sounded like it didn't.
It's not a weapon.
No, I know, but she acted like it didn't count.
I think it doesn't count. I can't believe she talked him into killing himself in like 2 minutes. Like what? Like. All the nobody else seems to be so guilt-stricken about her death or her non-death, except this guy has not spoken in he's been meditating
10 years.
For 10 straight years because he's so guilt-stricken over whatever happened to May. And he's like, oh, forgive me. Thanks for the poison. Dead, right? Like, what? What were you meditating about for 10 years? Like, that kind of surprised me.
I kind of didn't get that either. And and speaking of other things that I thought were kind of unusual, OSHA, don't send her into an undercover op again. When she goes in to talk to the chemist, she's like, "Hi."
Yeah, I know.
I wanted to see you.
How obvious can you be?
Like, yeah, she was awful.
I could have been less obvious.
She was awful. I was like, "What the hell is she doing?"
She's like, "Hi," and he goes, "Hi." And he's like, "Hi." Yeah, she's the worst.
Yeah, it was good enough that they still got him, but Jesus Christ.
I figured it out in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's terrible. And she was a Jedi. Like, can't she Jedi mind trick him? She was a Jedi. She's a former Jedi.
Not all Jedi can do that.
Oh. Yeah.
Depends on how strong she was.
And she's pretty young. I mean, she seems pretty strong. But somebody points out in this episode, she hasn't trained in like 6 years, so she's rusty.
Yeah, that was their reasoning. I thought that was kind of a dumb reason, though, for why she couldn't have committed the murders. He said something like, oh, she hasn't trained in that long.
That she wouldn't be strong enough to take out Inara if she haven't trained in 6 years. Yeah. How could she take it? Is her name Indara? Inara is on Firefly.
Yeah. Indara. I don't know that seemed like a, I don't know, believable reason to me. But I don't know enough about Jedi, so.
I think it's a good reason that she, as a young Jedi who then didn't train for 6 years, could she take out a Jedi master?
Like she's a new, and she was a new.
Dara's a Jedi master who's been in continuous operation and training and working every day the whole time. I guess it's like if I sat on my couch for 6 years and then tried to play you in soccer, you would beat me, right?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Assuming you've been training, unless I caught you with your boot. But whatever, right? Like if I quit the soccer team and then tried to come back in 6 years,
I guess that's true.
You would be better than
but
me.
She, like I said, she was also a new Jedi too. It's not like she'd been a Jedi for 20 years.
She wasn't like the best Jedi. She's a kid Jedi. Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty good. I appreciate them trying to churn out something new. It will probably have some of the same themes that, Star Wars always is, like dark and light, the Force, like, it has some very set themes. But
You have loud cars.
I'm sorry, I have the window.
At
No,
least
it's just the car sounded really
I-
funny, like it was groaning at
I'll
first.
close
You know
the window.
what, though?
Sorry.
That's
there's at
okay.
least one thing that this doesn't seem like it's going to have, and that's a chosen one.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I'm back. Close the windows. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be like Luke Skywalker, the chosen one, Rey, the chosen one. There doesn't seem even like Grogu is a chosen one, right? That's not this. The journey to like be discovered and become a Jedi is not part of this. Pretty much everyone's already a Jedi in this.
Yeah. If
Or
they're
we're
gonna be Jedi, they're
former
Jedi.
Jedi.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep watching it, I guess, and report on it again next week.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jamie, you saw Interview, right?
Yeah. Which, by the way, since we're starting this conversation, I wanted to mention they have officially announced that there's going to be another series of Talamascus.
Oh, it's like a spin-off, like a different series.
Another Anne Rice universe series. Yeah. I think it was actually announced today.
Yeah.
They're doing what now?
I'll type it. I got to search my email.
New story about the Talamasca.
Yeah. It's, let me see what it says. Hold on. My email slow load. But yeah, the press release came up. Oh, excuse me.
I heard what you said.
No, I know. Yeah, it's called Anne Rice's The Talamasca. It's also for 2025 premiere.
Okay.
Yeah, and it just focuses on the Talamasca. That's kind of easy to know that that's what it's about. So, but anyway, that was announced. So,
Okay.
I just wanted to,
Good.
before I go too far, I have no clue anything about it other than that and what it says in the press release. But so, might be interesting. We'll see. But yes, I watched this. I thought this episode was really interesting because we finally learned more.
Yeah. Oh my god, I gotta put myself on mute for a second.
Okay.
AJ, how'd you like it? AJ can't speak.
Um,
I know what he's gonna say.
He's gonna say because he read it, it makes it different.
No, you don't.
Just say it. We can take it. I'm sure I agree with you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're waiting.
Okay. No, my internet got wonky for a second, so I wasn't sure if you guys could hear
Oh, okay.
me.
Yeah.
Okay. Two sides of AJ once again. I like that we finally got the backstory on this because now things that have been happening in the last couple episodes actually start to make sense now. What was happening with Daniel, Armand wasn't doing anything to him. Daniel's memory wipe was starting to break through. And now with this episode, we finally see all that. I thought the episode was pretty good actually. Armand they kind of fleshed Armand out a little bit. He wasn't as boring for a change. I thought it was hilarious that Louis kept telling him he was boring, which is something we've been saying about him. But it actually made him a little less boring. He actually showed some kind of emotion, and I gotta say, the best scene that has been in this entire show so far was when he was bouncing Daniel off the floor. That was friggin' hilarious. I was laughing so hard at that scene. That was great. As a book reader, none of this happened.
Oh, okay, so you don't have.
As a book reader, none of this happened. I mean, the first interview should have been what this second interview is without Armand. But and somebody really has to go back and read the Anne Rice novels because hell, Christopher Rice is an executive producer on the show. Did he not at some point tell somebody, "Hey, stop messing with Louis' hair. Vampire hair stays how it was when they died. Stop giving him that."
That's what AJ focuses on, the hair.
True.
It's creative choices, AJ. It's a TV show.
That's funny, AJ. You're making me laugh because I just caught this episode of Buffy's on TV all day long, and I let Buffy run while I'm working for like 3 hours, right? And there was an episode today where where Willow says to Angel, if you have no reflection in the mirror, how can you shave? How do you shave? And I was like, because his beard doesn't grow. He doesn't need to shave. If he was clean shaven when he died, that's how it stays. Vampire hair doesn't grow. But in this episode, Louis gets this. I did like the groovy 70s like costumes. These two costumes are great. I put this other picture in here of the kitchen because I thought the set dressing was really great in this episode. I mean, I kind of agree with AJ. I'm of two minds because part of me was like, why do I have to watch this? This didn't like, I don't love this first interview storyline. But the episode was pretty good. And by the time it was over, you really, I mean, I hate Armand as a character. And it gave us a lot of backstory and seeing, like, we know from watching this interview for all these interview scenes that Armand clearly is like manipulating everything and is like,
even though he acts like Louis his master or whatever he calls him. I forget what he calls him, that word.
Yeah. And that he and Louis are like, together, and he and Louis are like, here's Louis' hair. But he clearly has Louis in some kind of thrall or whatever. And I mean, by the end of this episode, it becomes clear that he's like used a mind trick on them to make them forget, both of them, right?
Yeah. Seen me having not read the book or seen any of the stuff, I think it was interesting because I guess the important thing is, why did he do this? Because it could have been for a lot of reasons. I mean, was it just that he's manipulative and he does not want Louis to think anything bad of him and he wants to erase it? Is it because it was painful? Is it because he wants to control him? Like, there's so many different reasons that it could be. I'm kind of interested to find out why.
Well, I mean, I feel like I don't have a picture of Louis and Armand together. Oh my God, look at Armand's outfit. Like, I don't have a picture of them together, I guess, but it seems like Louis and Armand kind of really hate each other. They're like those people that have been married forever and hate each other.
Yeah, and maybe it's just
right?
that he doesn't want him to leave him, so he'll just make him forget all the bad things. That's the other thing it could be.
It's still about Lestat. I mean, Armand.
Yeah, a lot of it is. I think he knows he was still in love with him, and so maybe he thinks he can erase that from him. I don't know. Just like he wouldn't tell him that Lestat said he loved him because he was probably afraid he'd go off with them if he knew. Although that's true though too. He probably doesn't want him to remember that he knows he's alive either.
Well, I mean, at this point in their story, Louis is picking up random guys in bars and bringing them home, right? And there's that scene where like Louis tells Daniel he's only ever brought 5 guys home. And, and then Armand's like, no, it's 128. He's brought 128 guys home. And Daniel's like, what? He told me 5. Like, Louis is like bringing guys home all the time, getting them high on drugs, and then I guess maybe killing them and enjoying their cocaine blood.
He was sleeping with them too, it sounded like.
Yeah, well, Daniel is very like when he's like, did we? And I'm like, well, he didn't turn you into a vampire, so obviously what you mean is, did we have sex, right?
Yeah.
And Daniel's clearly up for it, and he like does drugs, and he takes off his shirt. I don't have pictures. There were too many pictures. Oh, that's after he gets attacked. But Daniel's there for
sex and drugs.
Yes, he doesn't believe he's a vampire. At least not until after.
Yeah, not at first.
Not until later.
Yeah, I think at that point he knows at a certain point.
But Armand, and then Armand basically like is fucking like keeps him in the house for like 4 days, tortures him all the time, right? And then has him like basically begging for death almost at the end. Until this shit goes down with Louis. Right. Well, Louis is already in the bed in the other room in this, right? Like Louis, what's with Louis walking into the sun, AJ? What the hell was that?
I assumed he was trying to commit suicide. Was kind of the point.
He was.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too, though, I was just going to say, I forgot about, but one of the things I was thinking, is it possible that part of this is that I wonder if and I don't know because I don't know the story, but I kind of wonder if Armand's done this other times, because I almost kind of wondered at one point if he kept him around so he could use him to like spy on Louis, because he makes this comment about how like he got him to get to tell his innermost secrets or whatever. And I kind of wondered, is he going to, have him talk to him and maybe like he's erased some of their interview times from their memories or whatever to find out things from Louis? I don't know. That ran through my head at one point. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. But what I found most interesting, aside from the fact that they're both a little pissed off that Armand erased like their memories, I think it's funny because Armand's been harping on this whole thing with Daniel telling him, "I saved your life. I saved your life. I saved your life." It turns out that
Louis saved his life.
he actually saved his life because he stopped Louis in the first place. But then when Armand was actually going to kill him, Louis came out of the coffin and was like, "Stop! Like, don't kill him. Like, let me keep."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's just, he makes Louis like basically lie in the bed and doesn't give him blood. And he's basically punishing Louis for like doing that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Louis is like, he did it because he was like, but he keeps him there. And then, he finally only lets him go in the coffin and gives him some blood later. But he won't like,
he's like suffer.
Well, and he and Louis, like, I feel like they basically hate each other now, but he won't let Louis go. Like, he mind tricks him to forget this bad. This also reminds me of when, like, Willow erases Tara's memory of them having a fight because she can, right? And how, like, that plays out in Buffy as, like, it's so unhealthy for their relationship, right? And, like, he won't let Louis go, right? And he doesn't like, he's like, I'm gonna mentally, like, he has some sort of ESP he can contact Lestat, and because Lestat's alive, even back then, and Lestat's like, tell Louis I love him, which, do we believe? I mean, Louis also is like not a, I think Lestat does love Louis in his way, but it's very
toxic. The one thing I question, and I don't know if it's done for a storytelling way of doing it, but doesn't actually make sense, is that we're seeing Louis' memory of this. How do we know what Lestat is saying to Armand in his head? Do you notice that? Because I'm thinking, why are we seeing his point of view? That's a little confusing.
It's an interview with the vampire, because that's the whole point. This is Louis' story.
No. I mean, when Armand is hearing it in his head, like, Louis doesn't know what Armand had heard in his head. Like, he had no way of knowing that Lestat said to him, "Tell him I love him," because he wasn't part of that memory. That was Armand's memory. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like, this is supposed to be Louis' memory. This is supposed to be Louis remembering this. He could not know what Armand heard in his head because it was supposed to be in Armand's head only. It wasn't in Louis' head. I'm just saying, I mean, they did it just
Daniel was there.
Yeah, but Daniel couldn't hear what Armand heard either. He was communicating with
Wait, what are you talking about?
Okay, let me try again. This is Louis remembering what happened. But we're also seeing Armand talking to Lestat within his mind. Louis can't hear what Lestat's saying. But yet we're hearing what Lestat said, and we shouldn't be able to. So I'm saying, I guess they just used it as a storytelling device and didn't worry about it. I'm just saying, technically, like, doesn't make a lot of sense because we shouldn't have been able to. He would have had to been guessing that.
Yeah, we should not.
But then again, whenever he was passed out, we wouldn't necessarily know what happened either, I guess. So it's just, they kind of went with it.
I mean, so that's a good point, Jamie, that if Armand doesn't tell Louis what Lestat, like, ESP'd him, right?
Yeah, that we wouldn't.
Then how can he know? So that's just for us. But, there's also, I think AJ pointed this out, that we're seeing Daniel's memory and Daniel and Louis are, like, going through, like, recovering their memories that Armand hid from them. They were both completely high on drugs at the time it all happened.
Yeah, so it doesn't even make sense they could remember any of it anyway, really. Right? Unless they went through, like, regression hypnosis or something, which probably...
Like, Daniel did tons of drugs, and then Louis basically a drug addict by way of, like, getting 128 men to come home with him, do drugs, and suck their blood, right?
Mm.
Although, I don't know, if a vampire can't, like, grow hair, I don't know that a vampire is really susceptible to alcohol or drugs or cocaine or anything, right? I don't know if they're immune to that or not, but in this universe, they're not. In this universe, Louis is a drug addict right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I read that this was the first episode they shot of the season, actually. Which is always interesting to me when they try to do that. And it really positions Armand in a really bad light. I mean, so Jamie, in terms of why couldn't Lestat, Armand is a much older vampire and a more powerful vampire than Lestat. Anyway, but I think particularly since Lestat got burned up in a fire and lived in a garbage dump for 5 years or whatever, right? But Armand is a very, I mean, I think maybe they haven't made it clear enough how really old, he's 500 years old. Yes. And he can do the levitation things and the mind trick things that a lot of Louis has been a vampire for not even 100, 65 years at this point. In the 70s, he's a young and inexperienced guy, and Lestat is only 200 years old. So there's that. But it really makes Armand a bad guy. And as much as Lestat was sort of a villain of season 1, for Armand to not communicate, he's like, I'm going to communicate with Lestat and see what he says. Oh, I'm not going to tell you. Okay, what was the point of that? But I read this interview with all the actors in the scene, and they pointed out, by not telling Armand, he doesn't tell Louis what Lestat said.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't give Louis the chance to choose, basically. Could Louis have said, whatever?
He's probably afraid he'd choose Lestat.
I think you're right. Yeah. Is Louis going to say, that's a terrible, abusive prick, I choose you? I mean, Armand's kind of a terrible, abusive prick also.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Louis has a type.
Yeah, he does. He has a type. Which apparently is also Daniel a little bit.
Yeah. I love when Daniel first finds out he's a vampire, he actually believes him. And he says, "Are you the Zodiac killer?"
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
That was funny. But also, too, when he asked him to see his teeth again, he's like, do the teeth again. That was funny.
So, fun fact about this actor here, when he played, the first time we see him in the bar is Daniel in season 1. Apparently, he had been on set all season. And he was apparently watching the actor that plays older Daniel,
Eric Bogosian.
Yes, and the reason behind it was because I guess Eric Bogosian didn't know at the time about this scene that was coming up in the future with the flashback. He'd been watching him all the time because he was trying to learn his mannerisms of playing Daniel, so that when he played younger Daniel, he had the same expressions and mannerisms.
He did a good job. He's a good physical likeness, and he did a good job of
he did.
Do you guys think that Daniel is still attracted to Louis?
That's a good question. Maybe.
Probably.
I mean, Daniel's not. He goes on to have a wife. He's had sex with women. I don't know if he's ever really had what his attraction is, but he definitely was attracted to Louis, went home with Louis, and believed they might have slept together. He might. I mean, I think in the books there's a part of the interview with the vampire is the journalist's fascination with his subject, and is he too fascinated with? They've done a good job of making Daniel seem more investigative journalist and trying to get a story, but he's getting too interested in the book. I think it's more clear that he's a little too interested and a little too close to the topic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that may shift now that he has memories of all the stuff that happened in San Francisco, which begs the question, why would Armand allow this to happen, right? Armand went to great trouble to erase this, and now 50 years later he's oh yeah, let's have the guy over to Dubai. And
he erased the aftermath. He didn't erase the part about the interview.
Yeah.
I kind of wondered. There was like a part of me that kind of wondered if maybe he at some point wants him to find out. Like it's kind of like a passive aggressive move if he knows this is happening. Like maybe he's orchestrating it and we just don't know it yet.
Well, Armand is also cocky, so he probably doesn't think that this ever was going to come to light.
Yeah, there's that.
I'm sure he thinks that he did a wonderful job and he has nothing to worry about.
Yeah, he is.
I still wonder that he's done it again. I just kind of wonder that he hasn't erased his memory from something else. We're going to find out later.
Well, Louis is through all these scenes, Louis is very placid, very like he almost has like kind of a flat affect a little bit. He's very like, oh, everything's great with me and Armand, except when he got mad about the photos last week. He's really very like, it seems unnatural and kind of fake the way these two are together, right?
Yeah.
Also in this episode, Armand goes out to feed, right? Armand has hired this like, who was that guy? Like a crypto guy or a tech bro or whatever?
No, he was some kind of thug.
But if he gets away, he gets $1 million. And if he doesn't get away, Armand eats him, right? But obviously he's not going to get away. Armand likes to have a little like...
He likes to chase. Yeah.
Which is weird because I'm pretty sure normal people would run away from you if you came after. Like he hires this guy to like
well, I think he is telling himself it's okay and he's not murdering the guy because he agreed to it. At least that was my
deal.
Or that Louis won't get upset that he does. It may not even be that he cares. I think maybe Louis would care if he's like killing somebody and being mean.
I think you just hit it, Jamie, because
Louis eats rats in that because he doesn't want to torture people.
He only eats a human like once a week and eats rats the rest of the time because he's so connected to his.
And they clearly drain people without killing them too, because they have that guy that's always there. That real Rashid. Yeah. Yeah. Why does he call him Real Rashid anyway? I missed the joke on that.
Because when he first meets Armand, he's introduced to as Rashid.
Okay.
Armand's pretending to be Servant Rashid.
Okay, that's right.
He's really mastermind.
Yeah. So I guess my point is clearly he sometimes when he feeds does not kill people, and I think it's all for Louis' benefit. I don't think Armand gives a shit.
I think you're right.
Well, in the case of feeding on Rashid, it's because Rashid works for them. So it's like, and they haven't really
just glamour somebody anytime they want.
They haven't really touched on it yet in this, but there's a certain euphoria for familiars too. Like some familiars get off on being fed on. They haven't really touched on that yet, but
yeah. And I mean, for familiars, there's always the promise that maybe they'll be made one day, right?
Right.
But yeah, familiars kind of like get off on it. Like in every
that's true in all vampire shows, pretty much.
Yeah, and pretty much all vampire shows, the bite is like kind of
sexual
or a metaphor for sexual or whatever, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I'm surprised how good this was. I think if you had said to me, oh, there's going to be a whole episode of a flashback to the first review of the 70s, I'd be like, oh, can we please get on with it? Nothing's happening. What's going on in the theater, right? And this really...
this definitely shed some light on the present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's going to...
Actually, this might actually be the best episode of the season.
Yeah.
It might be because not a ton is happening in old.
No.
It's been a long time to
get
this.
Honestly, I mean, what was it, 6?
Yeah, this was 6, I think.
No, 5.
Is there 8 or
5? This is 5.
I only know that because I asked you guys and you told me it was 5.
This is 5.
You were right. So.
Oh, this is 5. That's right. And is there 8 or 10? I don't remember.
There's, I think 8. There's 8 screeners anyway. So.
Okay, so there's 8. Mm-hmm. Which means I can't wait to get to episode 8 because I feel like I know what's going to happen in episode 8.
I think I know what's going to happen in episode 8. I can't believe they're going to stretch it out for 3 more episodes because there's not enough story to get there. But like we know the dramatic events of the book that have to come that can't be held off much longer.
I'm just curious to see how they're going to do it and if they're going to do it justice.
Yeah. And I think a lot of viewers could probably guess what's coming.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
Which I will neither confirm nor deny.
You watch all the screeners, Jamie?
No, I'm waiting and watching it with you guys.
Oh, good. But you're probably like formulating some theories on.
Well, I haven't read the book, so I have no clue what you're talking about.
No, I mean, you probably just as a TV watcher, like might have theories about like
where the season is going.
Clearly, the shit's going to hit the fan pretty soon.
In Paris, yeah. Like things can't go well for much longer in Paris, right? Like everybody in the whole coven is like, when we left off last week, the coven is getting very antsy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm surprised that this diversion from the book. I mean, I wasn't. AJ, you have said it more times than I have, but we both weren't like second interview. What's going on? Not really buying that. But once again, the diversions from the book are really mostly maybe all have been pretty good decisions.
And yeah, I mean, I mean, with what we're getting on the TV show, yes, this episode was a very good diversion. To sum up some stuff, I don't like the idea that this is a second interview. I haven't liked it the whole time, but I've gone with it because the main story has been pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
And they did something good with it. Like it finally maybe paid off a little bit with this episode.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going to go, vis-a-vis the events of the book, or I mean, there's also the part where like most of the people who have read the books have read a lot of books. Not like, I don't know how many people read Interview with the Vampire. If you read Interview with the Vampire and stopped, you didn't like it enough to watch the show, maybe, right? I think most of the people, like we've all read like at least 4 books, probably.
I've read all of them except for the last 2.
Yeah, I didn't read. I mean, I even read Queen of the Damned. I read past that.
I made it about halfway through.
Queen of the Damned.
I read everything. I read all those, all the Mayfair, all the interchanging books.
Oh,
I'm saying I read everything except for the Atlanteans and whatever the one after that one was called.
Oh, I only read
I didn't even bother with the last book because the prior book to that before that, I got about halfway through it and I was like, I can't do it. Like I was forcing myself to read it. I was like, I don't know what happened to her, but she lost her way. Like I hated where she went with the story.
All right, yeah. I never read Mayfair and I don't like the show. And
the show is awful.
I'm not going to watch that show.
I'm so upset with the show. I love those books.
But this was pretty good, and I'm so glad to have a show that Jamie is watching along with us and hasn't seen all the screeners.
Yeah, it's nice for Jamie.
Well, usually I get interviews and I have to, but I haven't gotten any. So
yeah. So, and I guess next week maybe we'll go back to Paris. I didn't see a trailer for next week, but I assume we're going back to Paris.
I saw a snippet of one, and I saw Santiago. So yeah, I mean, we can't stay here for another week. So,
well, good. I do love Santiago.
Yeah, I was gonna say this was good, but I don't know that it would work doing
it's
it.
Done. It was good, and it's over. Yeah.
So, all right. Anything you got, Jamie, before we move on to Lazarus?
No, I don't think so. I mean, the only other thing I watched this week was with Karen, watched Harry Potter when it was on the marathon. And
Again, we watched Harry Potter again. Yeah.
Again. I don't know why when something's on live, like it makes a difference. It's like, why am I watching this? I could watch my movie anytime I feel like it because I have it. I finally at least turned it off and put on the digital version so I didn't have commercials saved in that one.
You know what's funny? Jamie's the one that turned us on to Lazarus.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I hadn't at the time had time to finish it, and then it got away, and then I forgot it was coming back and just haven't. I will try to watch it before next week though, because I do want to see it. I just haven't had time and couldn't do it in 2 days. I was going to try to do it, but I knew I wouldn't have time. So.
All right. Well, it was good. I think it, of course, you know that I rewatched the whole last season. I recommend that if you...
Oh, you watched the whole last season? I thought you just watched the finale again.
No, I ended up watching the whole last season.
I guess I could have done it, clearly, since Karen did it, but...
I recommend,
Hi.
Jamie, that you at least read a recap of the last like 2 episodes of last season, maybe, or the
I'm
last.
probably just gonna watch all that because I hadn't seen that far into it.
Oh,
so,
you haven't seen the whole. Oh, so you haven't seen the
No.
whole thing.
Mm-mm,
No,
I
it's
didn't.
only like 8.
I think it's 6, isn't it?
Yeah, it's short. It's real short and it's real good.
All right.
And you can watch it real fast. So,
Yeah, what I saw was good. I just didn't. I had forgotten about it after at a certain point.
Yeah. All right. Well, spend
All
your
right.
week.
I think everything
Yeah,
else
it's
that's
season
coming.
one. Season 1 is 8 episodes. Season 2 is also 8.
Huh. I might have to. I don't know if I have the rest of the demand because I think there's only like 7 on my DVR. Maybe I deleted the ones that I had watched. I don't know.
It's on demand on like TNT. You can get the whole thing on demand.
Okay. Well, as long as you don't have to pay for it, I don't want to go look
Yeah.
for it.
No, you can get
All
it on.
righty.
All right.
We'll do that. But I think, yeah, I don't think I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I don't think there has. It's been a pretty slow week actually. So.
All right. Well, take advantage of it because we got 2 more shows coming. We got this weekend is
House of the Dragon.
Well, that I'm not gonna
Dragon.
because I never watched the first season. I watched 1 episode. Remember, I did not like it.
Oh
Matt
yeah,
Smith or not, I did not like it.
yeah. you're on the Dragon.
So yeah,
And then the Ark will be coming.
yes. Oh, I do got to watch that too. I gotta remember to do that. I haven't had a chance to do that yet either. Alrighty, I will talk to you guys soon.
All right. Have a
Enjoy
good
the
week.
rest of
Jamie.
the podcast.
All right.
Talk to you next week.
All
And
right.
we have Orphan Black coming before we have the Arc.
Oh yeah. Black
Oh,
is
that's
coming.
true. Yeah, and
Orphan
that
Black.
is.
Orphan Black.
I gotta quit my job and just watch TV.
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice?
All right.
Yeah, we gotta do Orphan Black. I think that's the 23rd. I was looking, I'm pretty sure.
In 12 days. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
23rd.
soon. All righty, guys.
All right. Take it
Enjoy.
easy.
Good night,
Hopefully
Jamie.
Next week I'll be able to join you talking about Lazarus. Bye.
Bye. All right. I'm gonna preface this conversation by.
I know what you're gonna say.
No, you don't. I'm gonna say that TNT has no season 2 photographs loaded on the press site. So I had to download only season 1 photographs to illustrate our conversation tonight.
I thought you were gonna start it off by saying George is the worst.
George is the worst, AJ. George is the worst. Did I always think he was the worst, or did it?
Yes.
Yes, George is the worst.
Oh my god. I thought that the show kicks off so great. You know, Wes kicks George out, tells Sarah to stay, and then Sarah slaps him.
Yeah. I mean, Sarah is the big. So last season, the season finale ended where he gives Sarah the injection. She takes it. She wakes up. She's like, "Holy crap! You can time travel," and that's pretty much the last we see of her. Even though it's not really time travel, but whatever. I liked where it went with Sarah. In this episode, like Sarah now. So whether you like it or not, you work for the Lazarus Project, right? Like George gave you the serum. He didn't really. I mean, it's on George. George didn't adequately explain what it meant, right?
Yeah.
George is like Jason in Dark Matter. Does he want Sarah to be happy, or does he just want George to be happy? Right?
He wants George to be happy. He wants Sarah to be happy with George.
Well, yeah.
That's backfiring.
And I loved the part where she goes, "Well, what did you think was going to happen, George? I was going to teach 3 weeks of preschool. What did she teach? Like 5th grade or whatever?" She's like, "I was going to teach the last 3 weeks of elementary school over and over again for the rest of eternity." Right? Like, how could you know about the anomaly and the time jumps and all this and then just teach school? Like, what did he really think was going to happen?
I also liked when she said, "Well, it's kind of your own fault. You forgot I got hit by a bus." Or garbage truck or whatever it was.
Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I saved your life." And she's like, "You forgot I hit by a bus, right?"
It's like, you're the reason you had to save it.
Yeah. There was also a scene, I think it's Rob who goes, "So let me get this straight. You blew up a nuclear bomb and she dumped you anyway?"
Yeah.
Like, everyone in this episode was just like dumping on George for his stupid plan. I mean, actually, it's part of a problem with Wes's work for her human resources plan is that if a person has the gift, they get recruited to work for the Lazarus Project.
I said, George is awful, but I also said all last season that the project team isn't the best either. Like, and we find out even more about Wes this week that she's definitely not giving everybody all the information either.
No,
but and also crap. What's Shiv? I like what he says to Shiv. He's like, "Will you ever forgive me?" And he's like, "Not yet."
No, I really like the part where Shiv says to George something like, well, I'm preparing to wake up with a hot bullet in my chest again tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
And George is like, forgive me? And like Shiv is going through a thing. It's not the same as what Janet went through, but it's not really dissimilar. Like Janet had to be in labor like 1 million times, right? Shiv has to wake up with a bullet in his chest and die like 30 times, 40 times, right? Like over and over and over again. And he knows yeah, why would, like, what is the matter with George? George's like, oh, do you forgive me? Why would he ever forgive you?
Yeah.
Right? Like you shot him twice. He shot him.
Well,
right?
the second time was an accident. To be fair, the second time was an accident. They were fighting over the gun and it went off. That wasn't intentional.
Although it kind of was, there was a point where Sarah's like, so how many people did you kill? He's like, well, there was Shiv, there was the cop, there were those two guys who tried. I counted, he listed 16 people that he killed, not including setting off the bomb, which killed like a few hundred. There was the ambassador, her husband, like. But
to be fair, they all came back to life. That's why he kind of, was like, oh, whatever. Because when he set the bomb off, they all came back.
I know, but it seems to me that's what made it really easy for George to just kill and kill and kill and kill because he thought they were going to come back. But they might not come back. I mean, they kind of didn't. His plan didn't work. They didn't come back because his bomb didn't work, and it only got set back for a different reason, right?
Fair.
Like he failed. They all would have died, and like he became like I don't like. Is that a good excuse? Like maybe time will get set back?
I thought it was interesting. I thought Sarah's point of it was interesting because it was all about his neighbor and he can't shoot his neighbor, and she's like, you can't shoot him and you can't look at him when you do it.
Yeah.
I think the point there was they were trying to say, as stupid as George is as awful as he could be, he's not an awful person. Like he has a good heart, but he's just doesn't know how to use it properly.
Okay, but 15 other people saw him. He shot Shiv twice. Shiv saw it. He shot all those people in like on his journey to set off the bomb. He killed all of those people. Like he didn't like shoot them in the back of the head so they wouldn't see him. He didn't show compassion for anyone else. Right? And it's not compassion, it's maybe cowardice, right? Like Shiv's like, shoot him in the heart. It's not working the way you're doing it. You got it, right? He shot all those other
plus people. You keep splattering all over poor Shiv every time you do it.
Yeah, he shot all those other people. I mean, George.
Yeah, but all other than Shiv, all those other people were faceless to him, whereas his neighbor, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not excusing it. I'm just saying the perspective they were giving us. And you should have pictured Archie before. That reminds me, when he was talking to Archie, it's like she's not even mad at him, it seems like, but I love what she says to him, which is, I wouldn't have gotten caught.
Well, yeah. I mean, she was mad at him at first because she's friends with Shiv, and she was mad at him.
She's mad at him, but I feel like she gets it.
Yeah.
Even though she chose not to do what he did when she lost her boyfriend during the big one.
Yeah, because you can't do it because of all the things that, I mean, she certainly had learned her lesson from poor Janet, right? I think they all learned a lesson about that from Janet. George heard the story from Roborov did not really embrace it or get it, right? That like how many people would have to suffer, that Shiv would have to die 40, 50, 100 times, right? All these other things that have to happen for him to save this one person. Like saving one person, I don't know. George is very selfish, right? And very and he doesn't really care what happens to somebody else.
The whole thing is extremely fucking twisted because, it's like you recruited me into this world to save the world. I've saved the world a couple times now, and because I have, I'm losing the person I love, and you're not going to let me resave the world so I can save her. It's a very complicated situation.
But they're not doing it to save one person. They're doing it to stop annihilation of the planet. Right?
It's kind of like, why am I bothering to save the world when I don't get to save my person? You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's right or wrong or anything. I'm just saying it's very complicated, especially when you look at it from the Janet storyline perspective of how many times that poor woman gave birth to a child, and it just never, no matter what they tried to do, it just never went right.
Well, she lost the child. She had that little boy for like a month before she lost him, right? Yeah. I mean, that person, she can never be right about that. I mean, George didn't learn a lesson when Sarah broke up with him. That George had that one life where they got married, and most of the other lives it didn't happen, right? I mean, it only happened in that one life that he experienced, and he doesn't really get that you can't get that back. It's not going to happen that way again, right? He's very, I feel like he doesn't get it enough. He's not smart enough. Archie's super smart and gets it all. In fact, in the first episode of the first season, he says something like, how does it work? And Archie goes, do you have a doctorate in advanced physics? And he's like, no. And she's like, yeah, never mind how it works. He's just, how about Robrov? I mean, Robrov,
he hang himself.
He was 1 second away from hanging himself at the reset, right? And they find him and explain to him, and I mean, now they're working with Robrov, because they got to find Janet, right? I mean, nobody's really happy about working with Robrov, except maybe George. I don't think George really minds that. Well, because George was in cahoots with Robrov last year, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not for nothing. I mean, even Wes, after when he saves the doctor, Wes actually says thank you
to George. Oh, to
Robrov
on the phone. Yeah.
And you know what? Not for nothing. I think, I mean, the whole Robrov thing is kind of, it's not dissimilar from the George situation where it's like, we don't even know. I mean, for all we know, we don't know how long Wes has been doing this. I mean, for all we know, Wes has done what George has done. You know what I mean? At any point, any of these people could have done what somebody else has done, and we just don't know it yet. Wes is definitely not sharing all her cards because we see her in that video at the conference of the woman who, instructed
the time machine, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. I really liked her that person as an explanation about time travel too. I thought that was pretty cool.
That's a rubber band, and the more times you stretch it, it's getting weaker and weaker, and that time travel's not without consequences. Yeah. I mean, I think that is it appears that few people have embraced that lesson. I mean, obviously, so it is believed, we don't really know, it's believed that the Chinese have invented a time machine by forcing all these doctors to work for them and then murdering them so nobody would know. And they were kind of like, damn the consequences, who cares, right? I don't know if Wes is, I mean, they're making Wes seem a little sinister, but I feel like Wes maybe learned that lesson and is anti-time travel, maybe.
I don't know. We'll find out, obviously. I mean, the point of it is it's a good show.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed also all of Archie's time loops with the Chinese agent that she's working with.
Yeah.
And
I like the addition of the Chinese agent.
Right. And I like how everyone is like super bored. Like everyone is like losing their mind over living the same 3 weeks over and over again and trying to do something different to try to achieve something.
Yeah.
And
oh my God, I love the scene when Archie and the other woman are in the, what were they, in a bar or a restaurant or whatever, and they're talking to that guy, and and she lies to her, and Archie lies to her about what he said so that she'll attack him.
Yeah. Yeah. Those two turned out.
They'll tell us if you give him a hand job or something.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They're kind of a fun little team, those two.
Yeah.
And she's a far better partner for Archie than George, who's just
So what do you think about George and Sarah? You think they'll ultimately get back together, or do you think
No.
I
don't think they will.
I think he has to deal with the consequences. But you got to remember that that's the thing, though. Now Sarah has all those memories too.
Yeah,
So
of one. Look, Sarah. I did have some issues with Sarah. So at the end of last season, in particular, where George, in this act of desperation, is like, so she breaks up with him basically because he's boring, right? She's like, they go to Paris. Will you marry me? No, I need more excitement in my life. You're happy with the status quo. I'm not. I have to break up with you. She basically dumps him because he's not exciting. She gets engaged to somebody else. And then George is like, wait, I'm not boring. I can time travel. And she sleeps with him. And she's like, oh, I'm in love with this guy. Maybe I'm not. Let me sleep. Right? Like Sarah, I don't feel like Sarah came off well at the end of last season. Now in this season, she does refer to her fiance. Like, I don't know. She's not that great either, actually.
Well, my point is, because it's got to be difficult for her too now, because she has all those, she has the memory of their life together, being married and having the kid, and everything. You know what I mean? Like, she has all those memories now.
They have the kid, or she was pregnant, but whatever. Yeah,
she was pregnant. They never had. You're right. They never actually had the kid, but she was pregnant. So I'm just saying it's got to make it difficult to separate how she feels about her current boyfriend and George, because she's had how many lifetimes with George,
I guess. She's never mentioned it. You're right that part of the deal is you get all those memories, right? She's never mentioned it.
She did say something about remembering everything when she came into the apartment at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah. She didn't say, I remember everything. I love you. Let's be together. She's still with the guy.
I remember. She just said, I remember.
Yeah.
And she was
she's still with that
guy,
right? She made a remark, called him her fiance, and then she was like, oh, she doesn't know what to do. She's still with that guy. I think that, I don't know if she and George can be together. I think it's important for George to learn from this, that what other people have learned, what Archie knew, that you can't just bring back your boyfriend, not only because it's wrong and you don't just get a time machine for your own personal whatever, but because you never know, the butterfly effect is so, you never know what you're coming back. It's not going to be the same. George is in a bit of denial, I think, that he thinks he can get back that one thing that happened that one time.
Yeah. Well, now he can't, because she knows.
Yeah.
So it's you can't even gloss over it.
I think they shouldn't get back together. I think storytelling wise, he shouldn't be rewarded for what he's done.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. You know what I think's hilarious though? Once again, George is actually the smartest, to an extent, the smartest person in the room. He's the one that gets, starts finding the doctors and gives them their lead. Nobody else had been able to find anything. He goes off on his own because Sarah tells him shit that she wasn't supposed to, because he'd been kicked out, and he finds the doctor.
Yeah. I don't think he's the smartest.
In that aspect, though, he did the same thing last season with stuff like that.
He found that guy. because
He's really good at research. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think he thinks a little bit differently than they do, and he found that guy by seeing his expensive sneakers, right? And like found him through like a sneaker like user group or whatever, which is just not the way these nerds think. And so he has some. I don't like the way he like. He asked Wes, can he come back? And she's like, why? And he says, to prove that you guys need me. Like, fuck you, George. How about to prove that you're sorry? To prove that you guys need me? He's so awful. Like, you want to go back to prove that they need you? Like, how about you want to go back to help save the world because you enjoyed your job saving the world, or to make it up to them, or like, are you kidding me, George? So it's about you. You're coming back to work because it's about
you.
Usually
have we not learned anything about George yet? Karen, have we not learned anything about George?
It's all about George. It's all about George. He's the I don't think he's the smartest. I think he's in some ways the dumbest, but I think he's not wrong that he has some value to the team. There's value in having people who think different ways and approach the problem different ways. And I mean, look, George did find a way to blow up the bomb, right? He had this crazy plan, and to some extent it worked. He did blow up the bomb. He just blew it up in a place where nobody lived.
Yeah.
And it's not a big enough bomb.
So much for big boy.
Yeah, little boy. But he's really not. Yeah, he's really. I have no sympathy for him, and I don't think that he should get back together with Sarah. And I don't. I mean, to me, shocking. Like Rebrov is one of the most sympathetic characters to me because of what he and Janet went through, and I just. George equating, like, George is like, oh, Rebrov, like season 1, he's like, oh, I lost a child too. And I'm like, okay, yeah, you did. She was pregnant and you really wanted that baby, and that's a terrible loss. But it's not anything compared to what Janet went through, right? No. Like losing her son and then losing that daughter and having to go into labor over and over and over again, and like George is so selfish that he thinks it's the same. He's the worst. He's the worst. He needs to go. Shiv needs to shoot him.
He's entertaining, though.
He is entertaining. He is. I mean, he's an unsympathetic lead character, and yet you want him to succeed. Like he's in on the mission with everybody else, and so you want him to succeed.
You want him to succeed in some aspect.
Yeah.
Just not sure what that aspect is.
I mean, I loved how, all those other characters that are around the office that we don't really know their name. Like, I can't remember their names there. And every one of them was like, I don't trust you. No, you don't get a gun. No, you don't get a gun. You might shoot me. Right? Like, and George is always a little, like, miffed. And I'm like, why would they? George, you're the worst. No, you don't get a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Good start. Good start for the season.
Yeah. So, have you watched Dune 2 yet?
Have I watched what?
Have you watched Dune Part 2 yet?
I have not. Did you see it?
Artie and I watched it tonight before the podcast.
Did you stay awake the whole time?
I did. Aesthetically, it's beautiful. He does such a great job with the special.
Yeah. Look, the first movie was gorgeous. It is beautiful. Dennis Villeneuve can direct some beautiful shit, right?
Yes.
I just, is it a whole 2 hours of Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya just looking into the sand?
No. Stuff happens in this one. 2 hours and 46 minutes.
Oh my God, are you serious? I'm gonna watch it.
I definitely like Part 2 better than Part 1, even though it's all one combined story.
Yeah.
I feel he shortchanged the ending a little bit. You'll see what I mean, because you've read you've read the Dune books, haven't you?
No, I couldn't get through the first one.
Oh, really? See, I read all the way through Children of Dune, and then I stopped.
Yeah, I mean, look, it could still feel like a shortchanged ending, even if I didn't see it.
So yeah, so you might feel more like Artie did, not knowing how, like, he changed the ending a little bit.
Yeah.
It wasn't drastic. It miffed me a little bit. I was like, I kept going, wait a minute, there's like an hour left, and I'm like, so much has to happen still. And then there was like half an hour left, and I'm like, he is completely changed the ending.
Oh yeah.
He didn't completely change it. I mean, it was good. It was It did, I gotta say, actually, it didn't feel like 2 hours and 46 minutes, which is always a good sign. Lots more action in this one. Lots more going on.
All right. Well, I'm going to check it out. I'll try to watch it this week so we can maybe download it next week and get it over with.
So,
all right.
All right. Well, another good show.
Another good
Thank you
show.
for listening.
Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. We have 12 streams right now. All of them coming from Twitter. All of them coming from X, the site formerly known as Twitter, right? So thanks everybody for listening. We had no commenters tonight, but that's okay because we're perfectly capable of talking for 2 hours.
Ark told us she was going to be caught up this week.
Yep.
I'm sure whatever her reasoning not being here was worth not being here.
Yep. All right. Well, we're a little over. We'll tighten it up next week. And thanks everybody for joining us and being back with our full slate and another show coming on next week.
Yep. We got adding House of the Dragon to the slate next week, and then I don't know if it'd be the following week or the week after that, but we got Echoes coming up. So 12.
Yeah.
Echoes premieres in 12 days, so I don't know where that falls on the calendar as far as our podcast. Actually, look up.
All right. I'll quit my job tomorrow.
3rd, so yeah, next week we have So next week we have House of the Dragon. The following week we'll be adding Echoes. So yeah, so we're gonna have a really full slate.
Yep, we'll have to talk faster and less. All right.
All right. Good night, everybody. Good night.
Thanks,
Karen.
y'all.
Have a good week.
Bye. Good night.
Bye.